Hello guys, today I want a presentation for you the new feature of AWS Cloud that we call S3 vectors, and this is incredible feature to the people that work with AI. And if you want to start to work with AI too, is incredible too, because one thing when we're working with AI, and one thing is very important in your and one of our tools that we use in our day is vector databases, right? So vector databases, it's one type of database they use to make semantic searches, and is so very useful when you create a lot of agents, and when you make it, need to make some semantic searches. It's like it's so similar to make Google search, but your own data, right? And one thing is very bad when you work with vector databases is a vector database has high costs. For example, some cases, for example, Pinecone, ReadJS, and AWS, or different. For example, the Chroma databases it's a lot of the case is complexity, and it's high costs. So right now we have one incredible vector databases, so scalable and with the cost so low that we call S3 vectors database, right? And this is incredible because it's a serverless. So this is mean that we don't need make any management in the server or something like that. We just create S3 vectors, and then we can just use it, right? So you don't need to make anything anymore. Just create your vector database and then start working with this, right? And this is incredible feature in AWS, and I wanna right now show you how can you use creating one vector database in AWS with S3, and how can you use this in the Python, right? So the first step we created this vector database is we created the vector bucket we call, right? So right now we have an console. AWS is a new field in here that we call vector buckets, right? So in the vector buckets, it's is the place when you are all vector buckets when you use to create our vector database in there. So now here I have one vector bucket that I used to test, and we created the new vector bucket. So we click in here, and we can put it one name. I don't have a sure if this name needs to be unique like the standard bucket in the AWS, but let's to create it. Vector bucket test 2. I don't know. I created one before, so we gotta put 2 in here. So another thing we gotta after we put the name of our bucket, we can define an encryption. I don't use encryption here, but if you need to use encryption in the data, you can use KMSA. It is a very interesting service in AWS to have a security in your data, right? So right now we created our bucket, and it's right there. So after you create your bucket, you need to create one index. So think the index like one table of your database, right? It's so similar, but it's not specific to the table, but it's so similar to the table. And in this index, you have the two different informations in storage in the cloud. The first is embeddings, right? So all vector databases, and behind of scenes and the back end, the vector databases storage embeddings. They have all your data and with embeddings they use in artificial intelligence to make semantic search. And another type of information you have in your vector database is your metadata. So is for example, what is the mean of an embeddings you storage, and then you have this is the two different types of informations, right? So we can create our index in here and create a vector index. And I have one data in here. It is one actually, before I will create the index, let me show my index. So how I said it, every index in the vector database, you gotta have embeddings, right? And the embeddings, it's one type of vectors they use in artificial intelligence tasks, right, to make something like semantic search. And every embedding has one dimension. So think an embedding like one list of Python, right? And one list of Python, you have one list and a lot of different of elements into this list. So dimension in this list of Python or embedding, right? It's what is the size of this list? Or for example, it's array, right? What is the size of this array in your list, of your array? So to create this embedding, you need to use artificial intelligence model, right? Model embeddings, like is knowing. So we can the model that we use here in our example, I use the OpenAI model that we call text embedding small, and this in this model has 1,536 of a size. So we put this information here, right? I show you this information in the code is easily, then I explain it here. So after this, we can choose what is the distance metric we can use. So there's two different distance, is a constant and Euclidean. And after this, we can put in here non-filterable metadata. So when you have our information in the vector database, you can have different metadata to make it filter or make it one search in your data. And what is interesting here is a non-filterable metadata. So you don't need to specify the metadata you put in this vector database. You just is a freedom to put the information. But if you need to make one field in this metadata that you don't wanna if you don't wanna make a filter in this field, so you can need to specify that here, right? So the fields in here is just the fields you will not make a filter, right? So it is interesting because in the first time that I tried to use the S3 vector, I confused about this, right? I thought that we needed to create define metadata here, but you don't need to define, right? You just put a filter in here if you don't want to use this filter this field to use like a filter. So right now we have our vector bucket and you have our index, right? So this is one thing that I love in that 3. It is how practical and easily is to create bucket and the storage data and the read data, right? This is one thing that I really love. And the serverless, right? You don't need to care about anything about the server or the memory size or something like that. So after this, we can go to the Python. And in the Python, I have 3 different variables of environment to put in the access our data, right? So this 2 different variables environment is about the credentials AWS to our script Python to connect to AWS and has permission to put and read informations from S3. And another variable environment is our OpenAI API key, because how I said it, we need one model, embedding model, to transform our data into embedding to save this information in S3. So I will use with the model from OpenAI. So for this, I need OpenAI key to use this model. So, and the libraries that we need in the Python is both a 3 and a LangChain OpenAI. So in this part is the part when I call the OpenAI model to transform the data into embeddings, right? And the model that I use is the text embedding 3. small, right? So I have a OpenAI key defined in my computer, but if you don't have this environment, this is variable environment defined, you can just pass this information directly in our code, right? In the harder code, like this example. So feel free to do this. Right. We have our model right here, and what does this model do is take some data we have. For example, I have this data, for example, hello, and this model transforms any text we have, and one embedding, right? Is one array. This array, it's meaning semantic of this text, and mathematical example. So, for example, this model transform hello in this array in here. So we can see the size of this array. No, it's 1,536. And then right now, what we do is we have our model, right? And right now we connect it with our S3, right? So I need two different informations. I need the bucket name and the index name. So the bucket name, we define the vector bucket test, and index name is my index. Right. So I created one function, add people to vector store, because I have in here 10 informations of the people, right? We have the name of the people, the age, and the profession, right? And the profession is one description about what these people do. So, for example, the Edison is 30 years old, and her profession is data scientist, right? She works with AI models, and so with this 10 different people. So I created one function here to put this information in S3 bucket. So what does this function do is take our dictionary Python, and for each element in here, we will take the profession data text in here, and we transform this information and embedding, and then save in S3 this JSON and embedding of this field in here, right? So after we can, for example, make some searching for looking for the people for their profession, and then our vector database will return for us the people has the profession that we're looking for, right? So this is interesting. So we have this JSON in here, right? And actually, okay, right. So what is the most important of this code that we need to see is the new version of the Boto 3. It is SDK of AWS that we use in the Python, right? The last version of this library is 1.39 right version. And what interesting in this new version is the AWS has released the new features to support communication between the Python and API of the S3 vectors. So if you already has the Boto 3 in your computer, you need to make upgrade, right? To has compatibility with this new feature of this library. So because we need this S3 vector dot put vectors, right? This is new thing in AWS, and we just define the bucket name, index name, and the vector informations. And the vector informations is our metadata. Metadata, it is information, And embedding, it is embedding and the storage in the backend of S3. So run it here, run, and just to run this code to put information in S3. And I will make available this code in GitHub, and you can see this in the description of this video, right? So great. We has the data and S3, right? And the 200. So right now I created one function to make a semantic search of these professions, right? The people. So how I said it, this field, the profession, was embedded, right, data into the S3. So we can make semantic searches into the profession information. So for example, I want to looking for the one who work with data science, and then the S3 would tell me what of these people that work with data science or artificial intelligence, is something like that. So for example, I have here, I want to know who's the people that work with data science, right? And I have this search profession description, and this is interesting because we use S3 query vector API of AWS from SDK Bottle 3, right? That we have this is query parameters that use just to make our question to the S3. We have a topic key. What is the number of results you want to see it, and you has the possibility to return distance, and distance is a constant. How confident is the model is to return your answer for you, and the return metadata is to see all data we storage in the S3, right? And we have the possibility to make filters. We see and soon. So when I want to see what is the people that work with data science, and then this says data scientists work with models, right? ADC, right, is one data science, and it's very great. And after of those two people don't work with data science, right? Because one of this is software engineering, the mobile is a Dave, and the marketing manager, right, is I've. But look, how I said it, they want to see the top key is equal to 3. So no matter is good or not the answer, right? They always, if you define the top topic key like a 3, it's always a 3 return for you the 3 best results, right? So the best 3 results is this is here. So right now I can use for example filter. So I wanna, for example, make one query to take the data, right? So for example, I need someone to develop my mobile app, right? And I wanted this, and the age need to be like 23. Oh, this is this is hard coded. But look, I need someone to develop my mobile app, and the S3 return to me the software engineering Dave, right? The building mobile apps, and I use it the filter equal 23, and he is 23 years old. So this is an incredible feature because you don't need to make a server or make configurations in your server. You just need to make the two things: put your data in S3, use this code, and make searches in S3, right? looking for what you need in this. So you can right now create your pipelines of AI, use this incredible feature of AWS S3, and